Angus Taylor, Climate Change Minister, says there is a conservative approach when it comes to saving the planet. This is what he told a bunch of people in London.
The traditional approach to a carbon tax or an emissions trading scheme is to impose penalties. Penalise the activities you don't like. This is a very different approach. This is an incentive-driven approach.
Now, Campbell, obviously, you've got issues about whether targets should be set at all. Can we put that to one side but talk about the philosophy here about whether it works or not? The concept of, if you're going to set something, there's a couple of ways you can get there. You incentivise people to do it, or you kick their ass until they do it by legislating extra taxes, greater penalties.
Well, certainly it's a better approach than the Labor approach, but I don't agree that it's a conservative approach because there's a couple of things that I should say about it. Firstly, really it is about a big government corporatist approach, trying to sort of pick winners and providing incentives, for example, like technologies like hydrogen. And there's some very interesting things that I think interested viewers this evening should have a look at about the viability of hydrogen at this time, speaking as an engineer. But the other thing is, if a conservative government would unshackle the electricity supply industry, the energy industry in Australia, take away a whole lot of the regulations, the subsidies, let the free market decide, and particularly remove the ban against nuclear power. If the coalition really want to go to net zero, don't agree with that, by the way, but if they really want to do that, back nuclear power as the Lib Dems are.
Oh, look, I agree completely. And in actual fact, Michael, of all of the things the federal government can control directly, that ban is front and centre. I don't share the PM's concern about to put this on the ballot somehow freaks everyone out. I don't think that it does. I think it's about opening up the possibility of things, but the PM suggests that's not the way to go. But step back to the philosophical argument. What do you think about what the minister is saying to say, look, there is a different way to do this than the way that the lefties do it?
Yeah, of course he's right, and that's basically to make change slowly so that, people don't have to retrain at 50 and, tens of thousands of jobs. People are being asked to retrain into jobs they're not skilled for. But on the point of nuclear power, when you said you don't agree with Morrison, there's probably a reason why he's Prime Minister and you're not.
Mate, of course, I think everyone knows I'm all in. Everyone knows I'm all in. Everyone knows I'm here to do my bit.
Michael, he should be.
He should be Prime Minister. Well, mate, we've had worse Prime Ministers. We've had a lot of them. You'd be up there with the better ones.
Hang on. Mate, we're already judging the history wars of the Paul Murray Prime Ministership. It came and went, just like that.
So very quickly, I'll tell you why Scott Morrison has said that, because there's 4 months to the next election. What would happen if he said we've got to look at nuclear power, okay? Every Liberal candidate would then be asked, are you happy to have a nuclear power plant in your electorate? They're all going to have to say no, we don't want it here in Wentworth or, Warringah or wherever. And very quickly, there'll be no Liberal member or candidate who'll say, I'm happy to have a nuclear power plant in our electorate. And therefore, there'll be nowhere where you can have this plant without causing major political disruption. And secondly, of course, the left will argue about where the waste is going to go. So it's a much longer debate, and that's why Scott is right. It's a much longer debate than 4 months, because the capacity of the left to lie and cheat and to make this thing bigger than Chernobyl is there for all to see, because they've done it on many other issues, global warming being the top of the list, mate.
Yeah, I mean, also here too, I mean, look, Sophie, we remember 2016 when Labor just bullshitted that they were going to privatise Medicare. Like, first to market with the lie, it's impossible to disprove the lie. That in part might be part of the logic. But what did you think about what the minister had to say? And again, it does seem that even the left have had to admit that this conference in Glasgow hardly changed the world for the better.
Oh, well, hello, Paul. I mean, I thought the whole thing was a farce before it even started. All this media frenzy whipped up. Is ScoMo going? Is ScoMo not going? Greta Thunberg's going to be there. I mean, who really cares? I think the whole thing's been a total and utter beat-up. And, Paul, look, these politicians will be nowhere to be seen by 2050. It's easy for them to come out and say all this now, but I think the coalition's obviously done a backflip on this. I think they're, trying to almost line up with Labor and say, look, we're all, green here and we're all pro, save the planet. What about all these jobs it's going to cost, Paul? I know that they're saying that it won't, but there's so much unknown here. And like I say, they'll be long gone. They'll be retired and, you know, not here when we're supposedly meant to be meeting net zero. It's pie in the sky stuff.
No, correct. All right, let's talk here. Hence why, you know, cost of transition, one of the many reasons. And as I said, death taxes, net zero. I don't like the first two. You can imagine how I feel about the third.